If you walk into a Reformed synagogue in the Bay Area or in Des Moines or in Miami, or spend time in any of our summer camps across North America, or take part in a nifty Kala near the Great Lakes or in the Great Northwest, chances are that during tefillot or a boisterous song session, everyone will be singing from the same songbook. And the odds are even better that much of that songbook was written by Rabbi Dan Freelander. Few people have given voice to Reformed Judaism as has Rabbi Dan Freelander, and I mean that in the most literal sense. Over more than 4 decades, the sounds of our movement have become those he created, the sweetness of his Shalom Rav, the joy of his Lo Alecha. Now, in the words of a song not written by Danny, Dayenu. If Danny was only a gifted songwriter, Dayenu. If Danny was only a joyful song leader, Dayenu. If Danny was only one half, along with cantor Jeff Klepper of Kol Beseder, among the most beloved duos in Jewish music, Dayenu. And if Danny has not only championed and led an annual Jewish choral music festival, you're good, you're good. But Danny is much, much more. As a devoted leader of the Nifty family, Danny has shaped our movement's commitment to youth and empowered generations of Niftyites who have in turn become leaders in our communities, our camps, and our congregations. As a regional director, Danny guided congregations through times of challenge and times of opportunity. As this URJ senior vice president, Danny's calm, creative, wise presence infused every single corner of our union's work. And now, as the new president of the World Union for Progressive Judaism, Danny's leadership is transforming our movement around the globe. Congregations, from those in Eastern and Western Europe to those in South America, South Africa, Asia, Australia, and beyond, have in Danny a brilliant friend and a devoted partner as they navigate the roads before them. And as someone who has benefited personally from Danny's most valued guidance, I know they will be all stronger for it. And if you know Danny, you love him. How can we honor this extraordinary leader for over 40 years of devoted leadership by giving him this award today in honor and memory of one of the most inspirational figures in Jewish life, Debbie Friedman. There were many people who led the revolution in Jewish life, but one woman blazed a trail that is still heavily traveled by those seeking to enter into Jewish life. That woman was Debbie Friedman. Debbie's soul was on fire. Sparks from her soul have ignited an entire generation. Back when Danny and Debbie were teenagers, Jewish worship did not speak to the next generation, but all that changed. Better than anyone I know, Danny understands what it takes to make worship come alive. He's a master of every aspect of how we pray: music, liturgy, choreography, and architecture. His creative imprint can be found on just about every part of our vibrant reform movement. So this morning, we honor Danny with an award named for his beloved friend and our beloved teacher. The Debbie Friedman Award reflects Danny's lifelong commitment to Jewish music and the reform movement more broadly. For without Danny, as without Debbie, our Jewish lives would be less joyful and our community less vibrant. For as we lift our 1.5 million voices in prayer and song, we express a single melody written by Danny. Please join me in welcoming, celebrating, and honoring Rabbi Danny Freelander.
Once upon a time, there was a young boy who just loved music. He sang in synagogue and in school. He sang in youth group and he sang at camp. He quickly learned that he had a gift for both performing and writing music. And thankfully for all of us, he chose to share it with the world. In the late 60s and early 70s, popular groups like Peter, Paul, and Mary put social justice to music. Meanwhile, there was an energy source building in the youth of the Reform Jewish movement. It was a musical revolution that started at Camp Olin Sang Ruvi in the words and music of Debbie Friedman and continued at Camp Eisner in the unique musical collaboration of a camp counselor, Dan Freelander, and a song leader, Jeff Klepper. Their friendship would last a lifetime, and their talent would become a groundbreaking band known as Kol Besetter.
We did one concert, I think, in our first one in February of 1974, which is where I met Elise, where I met my wife for the first time. We were writing for youth groups, for religious school classrooms, for camp dining rooms. Our intention was to write music that kids would get excited by, where the melody would motivate them to want to learn Hebrew words, which were foreign. Maybe they'd be able to remember some Hebrew texts because of it.
He's an artist, he's a composer, he's a singer, and he's a lover of this movement in every single role that he has played, which is pretty much every single role there is in the life of our Reform movement.
As a composer and musician, his melodies have become considered traditional in today's prayer and part of the very fabric of our URJ camps and youth groups. As clergy, he is a beloved rabbi who has now taken his national profile international as the new president of the World Union for Progressive Judaism. Yes, this is the story of a musical pioneer who insisted that his music and his stage be shared, and a husband and father whose love and pride in his family informed everything that he did. And after all of that, in the final analysis, Rabbi Dan Freelander is in many ways still that young boy we met nearly 50 years ago, a camp kid who really does just love music.
Thank you so much for getting up this morning. It's our first Jewgrass presentation at Biennial. I'm a Biennial junkie. This is my 24th Union Biennial. I was 3 when I started. But I do track the evolution of Reform Judaism by comparing and contrasting the approaches to music and tefillah at our Union Biennials. And for those of you who have come 5 and 10 times to Biennials, you've been able to watch the Reform movement change right before your eyes. I'm also honored to receive the Debbie Friedman Award this morning. I have always been strongly influenced by strong women. So I'm especially pleased that this morning I received this award in the presence of my beautiful and strong and brilliant wife, Elise Friedman. And in the presence of my dear friend and the first woman to be chairman of the board of the Union for Reform Judaism, Darrell Messinger. Last fall, as the new president of the World Union, I attended a conference of leaders of congregations in Russia, Belarus, and the Ukraine at a retreat center outside of Minsk. Before the return of the Torah on Shabbat morning, I was asked to help lead the congregation in the Misha Berach for healing. I said, I don't speak Russian, what am I going to do? But I listened to the guitar, and I heard the familiar Debbie Friedman melodies. I said, no problem. And then the words appeared on the screen in Cyrillic. Debbie Friedman in Hebrew and in Russian, exactly as she would have wanted it. Like Debbie, I was a nerdy high school kid, singing in the temple and high school choirs and musicals, and discovering the connection between music and my personal spirituality at Nefti conclaves. Peter, Paul, and Mary and Pete Seeger were the closest thing I found to Jewish spirituality. Of course, it was in English, and not all of them were Jews. But 1969 was my year of transformation. It may seem like it was about events. Chutz Camp Torah Corps, Chagiga, my first UAHC Biennial in Miami Beach, walking down Collins Avenue with Theodore Bickel in a protest march, or even about history in the making. This was the year of school moratoria, where we'd march out of high school, of the Vietnam War protests, of youth challenging authority, and yes, of the rise of Jewish pride and Hebrew in the post-1967 years. The musical soundtrack of my life at that time was James Taylor and Carole King, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Shlomo Carlebach. But the real transformation came about because of the people I met that year. I entered college with a forged link in music and spirituality and graduated with a double major in music and religion. And while there, I would co-chair the Trinity College Hillel with Susanna Heschel, and I began staffing Nefti conclaves with Deborah Lipstadt. But it's there that I met Jeff Klepper, and Jeff changed my life. He opened in me my public voice. He introduced me to Nifty's early emerging repertoire of music and to new friends in song and voice like Louis Dobin and the Songs Nifty Sings albums that would shape our movement's music for years. Jeff brought me back to Eisner Camp, where I'd been a camper when Eric Yoffe had been my counselor. And through Jeff, on our debut of Shalom Rav on the Brandeis campus in 1974, I met my wife-to-be, Elise Friedman. Jeff encouraged my harmonies and my melodic suggestions to his very creative impulses. He taught me to follow and to blend, and wonderful music came forth, Moda Ani, Lo Alecha, Haporei Sukkot Shalom. And Jeff nurtured our relationship with Debbie Friedman. That relationship was a complex blend of competition and admiration and sibling rivalry and deep friendship. Debbie's 1972 album, Sing Unto God, was a revelation to me. Here, contemporary musical sounds blended seamlessly with Jewish prayer texts. The Shema, Thou shalt love, Ahavat Olam, they were perfect. They were inspired. And her sound sparked my musical instinct and met my musical and spiritual needs. And lo and behold, sometimes she even sang in English, a daring act that was frowned upon in the early, very pro-Hebrew 1970s Nifty days. Debbie opened so many new doors to us. But she had very clear and direct Jewish musical values. Motivating the group to sing was primary, more important than the quality of the performance. And this resonated deeply in me and has impacted my sense of worship and communal participation ever since. And Debbie would link our traditional texts with personal spirituality, inspiring us beyond ideas, beyond words, with an emotional connection we hadn't necessarily felt with the words before. And for me, yes, Debbie knew that choral music, choral singing, is important to Jews who love choral singing and to Jews who love listening to Jewish music. It's a serious musical discipline. It's a metaphor for our Jewish lives. We sing in harmony, our arrangements are layered, and each voice matters and supports one another. But Debbie prioritized Jewish texts. Our inherited Jewish musical tradition, though, had a vote but not a veto. This put her at odds with the Jewish musical establishment, which often demeaned, then bullied, and finally attacked her vision throughout the late 1970s and 1980s. My role within Reformed Jewish music would become clear after some of those attacks, which sometimes were also aimed at Jeff and me. It's hard to believe now that there was a time when our revered Reformed Jewish institutions and people declared us enemies of Jewish music. But our vision was clear. Give Jews true permission to sing and offer music they want to sing. And so I decided to focus my professional efforts at becoming part of the Jewish music establishment, to change it from within. I was already singing in a large secular and Jewish choral group, so we worked at creating the North American Jewish Choral Festival. In 1987, Rabbi Alexander Schindler, Zichrono Livracha, invited me to create and staff our movement's commission on synagogue music. The commission was dedicated to growing the cantorate, to adding new musical publications and wider distribution, and ensuring the centrality of Jewish music in Reform synagogues and throughout the programs of the UAHC. So in 1987, we organized the first biennial choir. Rabbi Eric Yoffe continued this tradition in his worship initiative. I was responsible for biennial worship services for over 20 years, and I worked with Transcontinental Music to reframe its catalog to include more congregational melodies and Nifty's repertoire. My goal were for all of the musical traditions we inherited, new and old, to be woven together into one fabric that might inspire and reshape our movement's spirituality. In 2005, the American Conference of Cantors elected Debbie Friedman and me as honorary members of the cantorate. My wife has thus nicknamed me a crabbi. It had taken 30 years for the musical establishment to embrace us as full partners. How beautiful and, yes, how ironic that the HUC School of Sacred Music is now known as the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music. So I returned to her values that left such an important imprint on me. Debbie shaped us in ways we never imagined or anticipated. Her vision that we would sing in harmony and that each voice mattered and supported one another has become a metaphor for the Reformed Jewish experience. And I am certain, were it not for the opportunity for Debbie and for me to have the hechsher of the Reform movement, of the UAHC at the time, that result would not have been as deep and as lasting. There is power in this movement. There is power in this room. And I am certain that the union's ability to be inclusive, to build deep relationships with synagogues of all sizes, to provide resources and leadership training, and to model the best in music and worship, that is what got us and our entire movement to hold hands and to learn to sing together. And I am certain that without the leadership and partnership of so many lay leaders and cantors and rabbis working together, that Debbie's voice would not have echoed across the decades. I believe the strength of this union has always been to bring together professionals and laity to partner to create the future. I'm honored to be the first recipient of the Debbie Friedman Award. My 40-year career at the Union might best be captured by the dream of utilizing the great resources and power of our movement to propel the new sounds of Jewish music into every Jewish sanctuary and heart. And I'm deeply grateful for Debbie's inspiration and for every Union leader who shared a vision of the power of music to transform this movement. I am certain that the strong bond we've developed between the Union, the ACC, and the CCAR had a great impact on that, and I hope this will be the model for the URJ in the future. Together, we await the emergence of the next Debbie Friedmans, these leaders who will cause us to perk up and listen anew, whose minds and hearts and being might initially bring consternation and discomfort, but ultimately whose songs will rise, whose songs will cause the morning stars to sing together. My thanks to all my musical friends over the decades, and to my beloved family for encouraging me and putting up with me in the pursuit of this dream. I am blessed to have been part of a profound redirecting of this movement. Modeh ani lefanecha. Thank you. What are you doing up so early?
This is for you, and you can join your family, Dan.
Yeah, go sit.
Shalom al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Really sing. Shalom